If you're getting frustrated with stubborn belly fat that just won't budge no matter what you try, then you're in the right place. But here's the thing. The chances are that everything you've been told about losing belly fat is completely wrong. I've been a personal trainer and a nutritionist for over 5 years now, and I've worked with over 100 men and women all over the world in that time. And today, right here in this video, I'm going to reveal the truth behind stubborn belly fat, and I'm going to give you the proven strategy that my clients use so that you can tackle it once and for all. Let's start by defining what spot reduction actually is. Spot reduction is the idea that you can lose fat in a specific area by exercising that area alone. For example, doing crunches to burn belly fat, or doing tricep extensions to get rid of arm flab. And I get it, sounds logical, right? Work the muscle under the fat and the fat will melt away. Unfortunately, this idea is one of the most persistent myths in the fitness world. Numerous studies have shown that whilst you can definitely strengthen the muscle in that area, you can't target fat loss in the same area just by working that muscle. Fat loss simply does not work that way. So why is spot reduction a myth? Well, to answer that, we need to understand how fat distribution actually works. Fat distribution is largely influenced by your genetics and your hormones. Essentially, two things that are largely out of your control. Your body is going to store fat where it wants to, and that's going to be based on your genetic disposition and your hormone levels. For example, speaking very generally, men, including myself, tend to store more of their body fat around their abdomen, on their belly, whereas women often store more fat in their hips and their thighs. When you lose fat, your body and your brain decides where that fat goes from. And it's usually a whole body process. You don't just lose it from your right arm on a Monday and your left leg on a Tuesday. The way I like to look at it, for most people anyway, is that it's a little bit like emptying a carton. What I found myself when I lost 45 pounds in just 4 months, and what I see with a lot of my clients, is they tend to lose most of the fat in their face first, then it comes down to their shoulders, their arms, their chest, and then very slowly but surely, they eventually get to their belly area. But the point being, and I'm sorry if this puts a bit of a dampener on it, you can't tell your brain, you can't tell your body where to lose fat from first. It will ultimately come off in the order that it feels like it. And like I said, unfortunately, what makes it an even harder pill to swallow is that for most people, it tends to be the last place you lose the fat is around the belly. But that's why we call it stubborn belly fat. And very simply put, this is because your brain likes to use the fat to protect the vital organs, which for the most part are around your midriff. So while doing ab exercises will certainly strengthen your core, they won't specifically burn the fat that's covering those muscles. So if spot reduction doesn't work, what should you be doing to burn belly fat? Well, in all honesty, the answer lies in building a healthier lifestyle, in doing the basics well and in doing them consistently. So let's break that down into some actionable steps. First things first, you want to get into the right mindset. Understand that losing fat is going to take time, it's going to take discipline, it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take some work and effort on your part. Patience and probably most importantly, a positive mindset towards this are crucial. And the best way to sustain that positive mindset that we're talking about is to figure out why you actually want to do this. Most people put all of their emphasis into thinking about how they're going to do it. What's the newest, hippest, coolest exercise method? So they don't stop for even 2 minutes and put any thought into why they're actually doing this. What's your intrinsic motivator and driver? What's going to keep you going when you're 5 weeks into this and it's a cold, dark, wet and windy Tuesday morning and your knee hurts a little bit? Get your thoughts down on paper. I promise you, this will be such a powerful precursor to you getting the results that you want. Step number 2 is that you need to be creating a calorie deficit. This is without a shadow of a doubt the most important factor if you want to lose body fat. Very simply put, it means consuming fewer calories than you are burning, fewer calories than your body needs to maintain your current weight and level of body fat. This forces your body to use stored fat for energy. And if you'd like my help with this, you can get your personalized calorie deficit target by using my completely free calorie calculator. I'll tell you the number of calories that you should be eating to reach your goal faster, and I'll explain your numbers in full detail so that you have complete peace of mind that what you're doing is going to work. So if you'd like to give my calorie calculator a go, I'll leave the link in the description underneath this video. Once you've gotten yourself into the right mindset and calculated your calorie deficit, the next thing for us to focus on is the quality of the calories that you're eating. The quantity of the calories, the number of calories that you eat, the calorie deficit that you're going to create, will dictate how much fat you lose and how fast you lose it. But the quality of the calories that you're eating is going to determine how easy this is for you and the quality of your lifestyle. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, you are what you eat, and there's a lot of merit to it. If you want to lose belly fat the easy way, I recommend you prioritize eating a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. Eating plenty of protein helps to preserve muscle tissue whilst you're burning fat. Doing that's very important, and it's often underrated, but it's going to give you that lean aesthetic figure that you're after. Eating a lot of protein and fiber for that matter is also going to help you to feel full. This is because both protein and fiber are harder for your body to break down and digest than carbs and fat. They require more energy, more calories to break that food down, and they also tend to sit in your stomach for longer, which expands the walls of your stomach, sending signals to your brain that you're full. So when you eat a high protein and high fiber diet, it tends to stop you from over-consuming against your calorie target. The other great benefit of fiber is what it's going to do for your gut health. As well as improving digestion, it's also going to reduce the amount of inflammation around your gut, around your belly. A great example of this is one of my clients who was sticking to his calorie deficit, didn't feel like he was getting the kind of results that he wanted. I challenged him to remove all junk and all processed food for just 14 days to see how he'd feel, and these two pictures side by side show the transformation. Bear in mind, these two pictures are only a couple of weeks apart. So it's not that he lost a load of body fat in that time, it's just that we managed to drastically reduce the amount of inflammation around his gut. Step number 4 is you want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Staying hydrated is essential for your overall health, but it can also help to control hunger. And that's because like the protein, like the fiber, it sits in your stomach. When it sits in your stomach, it expands the walls of your stomach and sends those signals to your brain telling it that it's full. What a lot of people find when they start drinking more water proactively, when they consciously put their effort into it, is that before they were doing that, thirst was mistaken for hunger a lot. They were unnecessarily snacking because they thought they were hungry when really they were just thirsty. Water also acts a little bit like a secondary energy system. People don't realize just how sensitive our brains are to dehydration, but it only takes your brain and your body to become 1 to 2% dehydrated for your brain to start shutting down non-essential processes and systems in your body. And what that looks like in reality is you feeling lethargic. And when you're lethargic, you feel lazy. And if you feel lazy, you don't have any drive, you don't have any energy, you've got no get up and go. And if you've got no get up and go, you're going to burn less calories, which is going to make burning belly fat a lot harder. You also want to make sure that you're getting enough sleep. One of the best pieces of advice that I can give you in this video, and one of the biggest things that holds most people back from achieving their goals, is that they just don't go to bed on time. Sleep is the bedrock of health, and getting enough high quality sleep is going to make you feel superhuman. It's also a very high leverage activity. What I mean by that is that you do one thing, you go to bed on time, you get more sleep, you get more high quality sleep, and it's going to positively affect a lot of other areas of your life. So if you make this one change, it might positively impact 5 things. Number 6 might feel like an obvious one, but it's so underrated. And that's to just live a more active lifestyle. Incorporate more movement into your day-to-day life. More often than not, when it comes to losing weight and burning fat, people overly obsess on the exercise and under-index on just general movement. They think if they miss one of their 3 gym sessions a week, then it's game over and we'll start again next week. But the reality is, even if you were to train like Arnold Schwarzenegger and go to the gym 6 days a week for 2 hours a session, you'd only be spending 6 or 7% of your week in the gym. So even the elite level bodybuilders are spending less than 10% of their time in the gym. So if you were to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, it's going to have even less of an impact. The point I'm making here, guys, is that whilst of course exercise can be very beneficial when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to mental health, overall physical health, it's not the be all and end all. And actually, just trying to live a more active lifestyle is going to have a much more beneficial effect. And there's so many ways that you can do this. If you've got a dog, take your dog out for more walks. If you've got kids, then get active with them. If you've got a partner, then have more sex with them. Clean your own house, do some DIY, get outside and tend to your garden. Walk rather than drive. Take the stairs rather than the escalators or the lifts. There's so many ways that you can live a more active lifestyle. The reality is the world is just set up to be very easy for us nowadays. So you have to fight the comfort. You have to fight the ease. There's that amazing Denzel Washington quote, which I absolutely love, where he says that ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. And it's so true. Right now I'm recording this. It's the summer of 2024, and I can get anything just by tapping a few icons on my glass screen on my iPhone. I can communicate with anybody around the world without leaving my sofa. I can watch any piece of content from my laptop. I can order food from my phone to my front door. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to do anything. Life is very easy if I want it to be. But this is why a lot of people, me included, will always say that you want to live with 1 foot outside your comfort zone at all times. Staying on the subject of living a more active lifestyle, number 7, whilst I said it isn't the be all and end all, trying to do resistance training 2 to 3 times a week is going to have amazing benefits, not just for your physical health, but also for your mental health. And I wouldn't overcomplicate this. The way I would set it up is try to commit to doing 2 to 3 full body workouts each week where you're lifting weights. And focus on doing compound movements, things like squats, deadlifts, lunges, push-ups, dips, pull-ups, chest press, overhead press, exercises like that. They are multi-joint, multi-muscle exercises that use the biggest muscles in our body, because the bigger the muscle that you use, the more calories that you burn, because it requires more energy for your body to contract that muscle and lift the weight. It requires more oxygen, more energy, more everything. And this is why, contrary to logic and what we talked about earlier, I actually very rarely get any of my clients to do crunches, even though pretty much all of them want that lean aesthetic figure where they don't have belly fat. And that's because, like I said, whilst crunches will strengthen your core, if I was to compare them to my quad or my glutes or my chest or my lats, they're small muscles, so they don't require that much energy to contract them. So you're not going to burn that many calories. So yeah, 3 full body workouts, focusing on compound movements. You're only going to need to do about 45 minutes. What I would do is keep the rest periods between your sets nice and short, so the intensity is high. So it means you can get in, get out in 45 minutes. So if you were doing 3 of these sessions a week, that would be less than 3 hours in the gym per week, which is less than 2% of your week. And when you think about it that way, when you frame it that way, when you look at it with that perspective, hopefully you realize that actually this is not something that's out of my reach. It doesn't take that much time. This is pretty realistic and I can do this. And then number 8, last but certainly not least, is consistency and patience. We all know that this isn't going to happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day after all. But this is probably the main reason that people fail. It's just because they give up. They're not patient enough. They're not consistent enough. They tend to go all in. They go too hard, too fast. They burn out and then they stop. But if you go into this with the right mindset, understanding it is going to take time, it's going to take patience, it's going to take consistency, discipline, work, all the stuff we talked about earlier, then hopefully it's going to enable you to stay on track with this. And the best way to stay consistent and to stay patient is to have that purpose, to have that driver, that motivator as to why you are doing this in the first place. But also to make sure that you are measuring your progress. One of the main reasons that so many of my clients get amazing results is that we take the emotion out of the equation. We look at the logic. And what I mean by that is that we look at the data. So all of my clients track their calories, their protein, their steps, their water, their sleep, their workouts, and not in an obtrusive way where I'm going to criticize them if they've not done something, but more so because it helps to remove the emotion from the equation for them. So if they have a good week, they understand why, but equally, and probably more importantly, if they have a bad week, they also understand why. They don't fall into that victim mentality that so many people who don't track their data, who are doing this all through intuition, do. Those people tend to fall into a lower level of consciousness where they fall almost like a childlike state, where they become a victim. It's someone else's fault. It's because of this, it's because of that. They've got all their excuses lined up. But the people who track their data, who measure their progress, and you can track any metric that you want, those people are able to look at this through a logical perspective, through a logical lens. And that's so important because we're emotional creatures. We're driven by emotion, and particularly our relationship with food is a very emotional one. So as much as you can, taking the emotion out of the equation is going to help, but not just with numbers and stats. Yes, you're probably going to want to weigh yourself, whether that's daily or weekly. And as long as you've not got some kind of terrible relationship with the scales, I think that's a very constructive thing to do. But what I'd also encourage you to do is to take weekly progress photos. And over time, notice how different clothes are fitting. Listen out for what other people are saying about you and note how you feel. What's your energy level like? There's plenty of metrics and ways that you can track and measure your progress. Pick a few and pay attention to those. The people who do that, who take the data seriously, who go into this with an analytical approach, are the ones who win. Sometimes, albeit very occasionally nowadays, because of the way I set my clients up, I'll work with someone who thinks that calorie tracking isn't for them, or it's not necessary, or they're above it. Those people, almost to a man, to a woman, are the ones who don't get the results. And the thing with calorie tracking, by the way, whilst we're on the topic, is a lot of people get put off because they think it's going to be some kind of a life sentence, and it absolutely is not. If you track your calories diligently for 6 to 8 weeks, depending on your personality and your brain, all that sort of stuff, you will never have to do it again for the rest of your life. It's something that will be built into you. You'll be able to look at food, eyeball food, and roughly know the calories and the macronutrients within that food. Tracking your calories gives you such an amazing awareness of the nutritional value of different meals. And I think one of the biggest benefits, particularly at the beginning of this journey, is it helps to hold you accountable. Because if I'm working with you as your coach, I'm going to check in with you once a week and we'll have a monthly call. But I can't be with you over your shoulder 24/7, seeing exactly what you eat, seeing exactly what you do in the gym. There's an element where you're going to have to hold yourself accountable, and calorie tracking is great for that. All of these steps are important, but looking at the list now, if I had to put them in some kind of order of priority, I think number one is probably the most important, getting in the right mindset. And of course, you do need to create a calorie deficit. The most important step after that, I would say, is probably living a more active lifestyle and then getting enough sleep. Then I would look at, the quality of the food, the protein, the high fiber like we spoke about, drinking enough water. And then last but not least, I would say the resistance training. So to wrap up, here's a quick recap of everything that we covered, because I appreciate it was a lot. Spot reduction of fat is a myth. You can't target fat loss in a specific area through exercise alone. And your fat distribution is going to be influenced by your genetics and your hormones. And the most effective way to lose weight, to burn fat, and to keep it off and sustain this as a healthy lifestyle is to take a holistic approach. Create that calorie deficit. Eat a little bit less. Try and eat higher quality food. More protein, more fiber, but also to move a little bit more. Go out for walks each day. Try and get into the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Drink plenty of water, prioritize your sleep, and always have in the back of your mind that deep-rooted intrinsic motivator and driver, that reminder of why you're doing this in the first place. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope you found it useful. If you want to show your support, I would absolutely love it if you could smash the thumbs up button to like the video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think is missing from your sort of journey at the moment. And of course, don't forget, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss my next video. Until then, bye.